Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market, let's talk about what is happening and what has happened and what we can expect moving forward. So with all that being said and done, if you enjoyed the video, as per usual, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section on YouTube is live. The link is down below for just $2.99 a month. You get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, technical analysis updates, options flow on Tesla every single day. The market is open. So if you're interested in that, the link is down below in the description of the video. But with all that being said and done, let's just jump right into it. Tesla with a nice respectable day today, closing up a solid percentile on the day, putting us at $168.41 per share, which compared to the market is, a bit of a respectable, we'll say, outperformance. Nothing crazy, but, definitely respectable, especially considering the absolutely horrendous news we got yesterday with the delivery numbers. I'm like, part of me just like ignoring technical analysis and just, if I wasn't looking at technical analysis and I was just kind of thinking about it like from a more fundamental perspective, I'm pretty surprised Tesla's not down more. Like truly, I'm pretty surprised it's not in the 150s even, right? After such a horrendous, I think one of the worst quarters in terms of, performance relative to, expectations and whatnot ever. So I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining, but, I am a little bit surprised in that sense. But, if we start bringing in technical analysis into the equation, well, you're going to start noticing that, well, there's some reasons, right? Technical analysis. I know a lot of people think of it as like astrology for men. It's not. It really is not, right? There are a lot of, very useful things from it. So for instance, we're at the bottom of this channel, right? This massive daily channel that we've been in for quite some time, or at least we bounced in for quite some time. And recently we have been in it for a while. We pretty much bounced right off of the bottom of that channel once again. So that's interesting, right? The fact that we're holding this area is pretty important. The stochastic is still losing momentum, even though we get a bit of a pump today, which I'm honestly also a little bit surprised about. But again, I'm not complaining because, again, I told you, like I said, I had those cash secured puts that obviously are doing pretty darn well right now. Now, as we're chilling around this bottom of this channel, right, we're holding it so far. That is a good sign. Now, one of my favorite indicators, like I always said, is going to be the regression bands, right? If you look at it on the daily chart, you can see we are pretty much bouncing also, which, happened to coincide with the bottom of the channel. This first yellow line of the oversold territories. Like I said before, these are pretty much tiers, right? Each one that we go down to is like another tier of oversold, like the bottom ones, right? So for instance, this is tier 1, tier 2, and the red one is tier 3. This is like severe oversold territory, which is pretty much in, the high 140s right now. But, we're bouncing off the first one, which, is pretty common, right? But it's also not super unheard of, at least on the daily chart, to come down to the second tier, which is going to be sitting at about the, very high 150s, we'll say right now. So the point I'm trying to make here is we're bouncing off of this, right? And again, more often than not, whenever you get to these bottom, very oversold territories, you almost always revert back to the mean, which is the white line in the center. And so far, that's exactly, at least what we're doing, in the terms of holding a pretty important area. The 4-hour chart, which I usually like a little bit more than the daily, actually, at least for my strategy, which is a weekly option selling. We are at the second line here, and we bounced off of the second line almost to perfection for today and yesterday. So that's also pretty important and just crucial to understand that we're doing that. Now, with that being said, the MACD on the 4-hour chart has flipped bearish, right? Keep that in mind. It has flipped bearish. So, there could be some, I guess a slowdown of momentum, right? We'll see how it plays out. But again, the way I look at it is pretty simple. If it's ever in these categories or in these territories, and the more further and deeper it is in these, these bands right here, the more oversold it is, the more aggressive I'll be entering positions, and the more likely I'm expecting at least a short-term bounce back up to somewhere close to this white line, which at the moment is sitting at somewhere around 172-ish per share on the 4-hour chart. So that's the main way I'm looking at it, right? And it's pretty important. This is one of my main methods of trading in terms of option selling, which is the main thing I do is option selling. Now, go over to the 5 and the 13. You can see, we're still crossed below, right? The 5 did recross below the red, which is the 13, once again, after, the atrocious delivery numbers, which, we did get a pretty respectable sell-off, we'll say. But, we're holding pretty well so far, which is a good thing to see. But, it is, not showing a whole lot of momentum. Now, the main thing I will bring your attention to right now is going to be, I guess we can do it. We'll do it on the weekly, maybe even, but it'll be kind of the same idea. I'll go ahead and there's too many things. I want to delete this on the weekly. I don't need that on the weekly. Now, actually, I hope that. Okay, I'll keep it for now. is going to be this. Let me go ahead and go over here, take this bad boy right here, right? And then we pretty much have this trend line right here, right? Which, okay, I don't like, the weekly is like, it's too condensed, right? We have it on the daily here. We'll just look at it on the daily. This is fine. We have the red line over here. And of course we have this bottom channel over here, right? What is this making? Well, it's making what looks to be a pretty nice descending wedge, right? We're making a descending wedge. Now, obviously, you might be wondering, okay, well, what is a descending wedge? Well, it's essentially a bearish pattern technically, because you're technically bearish while within it because you are moving downwards, right? But the point of this pattern is the fact that more often than not, again, not guaranteed, but more often than not, it does play out to the upside. So let me go ahead and show you just kind of what it looks like, a rough depiction of a descending wedge, which is this pretty decent example right here. Well, this is the falling wedge. This isn't a descending wedge. I want a descending wedge. I don't want to show me a falling wedge. I mean, I guess it's the same point. I guess it's kind of similar, falling wedge, descending wedge, whatever. This is happening in an uptrend though, which anyway, I don't think it matters that much. The point I'm trying to make here is the fact that we are in a descending wedge right here, which is roughly what we're in right now, right? Kind of like this one right here, same kind of idea, right? Falling wedge, right? You have this kind of situation, you come in here, you're technically bearish as you're within it, as you're kind of, trading downwards, of course, right? Which is exactly what we're doing on Tesla, but more often than not, you break out to the upside. Now, again, it's not guaranteed. It doesn't mean we will break out to the upside, but that is statistically what should, in theory, happen to Tesla, right? And I'll give you the levels to watch out for in terms of, kind of getting an idea as to whether or not it's actually going to be breaking out or not. But that's kind of the situation we find ourselves in with this red line here and the bottom wedge, channel line over here, this kind of hollow line over here, the see-through one, right? And, we're kind of just zigzagging inwards and, getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And I think, honestly, next week, this should look to start playing out, which will be very interesting to see how it actually does play out. But the levels to look for are pretty simple. For the downside, because again, even though it in theory plays out to the upside more often than not, it doesn't mean it has to. So let's talk about potentially what it can look like if it doesn't play out to the upside, the bearish aspect of it, right? Well, pretty simply, it's going to be if we start losing this bottom channel, which is going to be pretty much in the very low 160s. You can even argue the fact that, to make it simple, honestly, just really losing 160 itself, most likely also is just going to be losing this bottom channel and most likely also falling out in the bearish aspect of this descending wedge, right? So that's going to be the level to watch out for there. If we lose 160s, we lost this bearish wedge. Tesla most likely is going to have an even less likelihood chance, at least in my opinion, of moving anywhere meaningfully higher in the short to medium potentially term as well, right? So for instance, when I say meaningfully higher, I mean like back into even potentially 180s, but especially back in the 200s, it'll take some time before that happens, right? I definitely think if we lose this wedge and we start coming back down to, the 150s, potentially even the 140s that I talked about before, where, we have this massive trend line support, right? For all the way back here. Here we touched it, and potentially I really would not be surprised if we do come down and touch it once again sometime, maybe late this month, potentially maybe next month, but sometime I really would not be surprised if we do ultimately come down here to about the 140s ish, we'll say, mid to low 140s, depending on when it happens, to touch this trend line, which I think should hold as the bottom. Like I actually think that if we come down here, there's a very good chance it is the bottom. Like I think Tesla has a very good chance of bottoming there. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed, but I think it's a real possibility. However, with that being said, that also would most likely mean that Tesla will most likely just, come down here like this, maybe get a small bounce like this, come down, retest this area, and then probably just really do a whole lot of nothing for a while. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if we really just kind of dance around this area right here for quite some time if we do take that lower route, if you will. Now, let's talk about the bullish aspect, right? The one that's technically more likelihood of playing out just relative to the pattern and what it is, right? That's going to be, of course, to the upside. The level to look out for the upside break is going to be pretty simply, so bring on the 21 EMA here, but the first level to really watch out for anytime, honestly, even as early as tomorrow, is breaking back above, I would say like 172/3 at least, would start potentially, giving a nice clause for this upward break and this bullish momentum to potentially really start to reignite. The levels to watch out for there, though, on top of that, will of course be this, dreaded level that we've been, having issues, which again is around that mid 170s, right? We've had a lot of issues around there, right? So that would be probably the more convincing level, I would say, to really break out of this and break back above 175, we'll just say, to make it safe. Following that, of course, we have 183, and of course up above that we still have the 205 level. Again, I do want to make it clear, there are still some bullish patterns setting up. A lot of people are being bearish, a lot of people are very pessimistic on Tesla, rightfully so, horrendous numbers that got printed, but people are being pretty pessimistic and bearish around Tesla. But again, the way I'm looking at it, just objectively, just putting all motion aside, I still see potential bullishness setting up here. Again, the falling wedge, technically a bullish pattern once, you break out of it, which, it has a good chance of doing. Obviously, we'll take it level by level, but we also have, a potential double bottom setting up like this, which, is kind of in play right now. We're at the bottom of the channel, which can also potentially be a bullish situation as long as we hold it pretty much 160, which may open up the possibility of coming back up to the top of this channel, which would put a Tesla around the, 230s, we'll say. Again, that'll take months, but nonetheless, that is technically a possibility, especially if we break out of this descending wedge or falling wedge. And on top of that, we still have the potential of a inverted head and shoulders situation. So if we do break out of this wedge and we do make our way upwards, obviously some resistances, some zigzags, it's not going to be a straight line, of course, but this rough picture like this, come up to about the 200 level, most likely get rejected, come back down around this area, make that right shoulder, and then potentially make our way back up to the top of this channel around the 230s roughly. This is also another possibility. So just, I personally see a lot of bullish patterns setting up here. I really, really do, right? Will they play out? Well, that's still a different question. I'm not saying it will play out. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm not saying anything like that whatsoever. I'm just kind of looking a little bit ahead as to what can play out, especially while all this pessimism is occurring on Tesla right now, which again, rightfully so. But again, stocks don't drop to your levels, so you can just conveniently, happily buy the dip because there's no issues whatsoever. There's no fear. There's no negative sentiment and nothing like that. It just casually dropped to your level that you were looking to buy at back when it was 200. You probably were thinking, man, if it was 160, I would load the boat. Now it's there. Most people probably aren't loading the boat. They're probably scared now, right? Because stocks, again, they do not just conveniently drop to those levels for you just to, happily buy the dip, if you will, right? It usually happens because, well, something bad happens, something, fundamentally maybe even changed or whatever the case may be, but they don't drop it just for your convenience, right? You have to keep that in mind. And, again, that's the way I look at it. Those are the bullish patterns I do see. But again, if we lose that, I still think it is a very real possibility. 150s to 140s, is still in the cards. Like that still would be very much in the cards. And I think that would take a long time for Tesla to break out. The options flow today has been overall muted, right? The morning started off exceptionally bearish, as you can see here. Tesla did, drop a decent amount. And then, of course, it slowly rallied back up and kind of really did nothing with the market the rest of the day, as the market did rally with Tesla as well. And honestly, overall, what I'm seeing for options flow for the most part on Black Box, which, by the way, the link below if you're interested for options flow, is going to be pretty much whales are stepping in for Tesla. They are, but they're stepping in with leaps, right? Pretty much 1 year out call contracts, right? So nothing short term. Short term, I do see more bears than bulls stepping in. So essentially, that's the way I look at it. Long term, the whales are bullish. Short term, the whales are bearish. That's the way I'm currently seeing it right now. With that being said, though, just like yesterday, Tesla also had, Tesla had very high, most bullish flow for Tesla, 102 million bullish flow, which is pretty impressive to see. So clearly the whales are stepping in. Just keep in mind, from what I'm seeing, a lot of it is longer term. So we'll see how that plays out. But with all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.